Hello, everyone. We are going to cover a lot of ground today, starting with your Colorado Rockies, a reset there, some hot teams or potentially hot teams with the Nuggets and Avs, and a little bit of a conundrum team with the Broncos. So we got a lot to cover. So stick with us, and we will be right back.
Yo, welcome to the show. Let me set the scene. Mile High Sports Symposium, living the dream. Broncos in the house with that orange and blue. Nuggets making moves, watch that altitude crew. Avalanche bringing ice, check the skills they display. Rockies swinging bats, ready for game day. Rapids in the mix, kicking it with style. Buffs bring the heat, put the rivals on trial. Out talking JJT, they got the scoop. Mile High vibes, feel that energy rise. Sports on the menu, watch the crowd mesmerize. From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews, and I am here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning, at DR_animating on X. Doc, happy Wednesday. We are here again with lots to talk about. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's fair. It's fair, because I actually don't know what a Rocky is. So
that's true. That's a good point.
A good question.
I don't really know either.
Hope you're well, brother.
Wikipedia says. I'm going to look up Wikipedia and see what this is about a Rocky.
Yeah. What is a Rocky?
I'm guessing it's a single mountain. A single Rocky Mountain. Is that it? I don't know.
I'm at the year checking. What's up, Shay? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's Wednesday. We are here. We got lots to talk about. I'm feeling good. The weather's nice, which is good. Apparently there's a parents versus kids soccer practice for my eldest soccer player, I should say, today. So we're gonna get out there and play them and probably feel really old
and dominate, probably, because
naturally, but I'll still feel old. But that'll probably come afterwards,
For sure. Oh,
unless I injure myself.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah, always a possibility.
You'll dominate, and then it'll catch up to you for sure.
That's how it usually goes. How are you?
Yeah. You know what? I'm good, man. The weather is a little weird because it's like windy, warm.
Yeah.
It's like not a fan of the wind. The wind can kick rocks. I'm a little tired of the wind. Other than that, good. It's the calm before the storm. Next week's going to be a real busy work week, but a good one. We got, I don't even know how many games and sports scrimmages this weekend, so it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy, but that's why we do it. So,
sure.
Yeah.
In 1991, the Rockies took their name due to Denver's proximity to the Rocky Mountains, which is reflected in their logo. Oh, the name was previously used by the city's first NHL team, now the New Jersey Devils. Okay, so there's a little history there. I didn't know that. So there you go. Still not a great name, but at least we have an answer.
Facts.
Yeah, they don't exist. They are a shade of anything we've seen previously. However, they're making moves, I guess. Supposedly, that's what I've heard through the grapevine, is that they're making moves. They're clearing house. They're interviewing people. It's just a matter of how much that actually matters with the ownership group that you have. And so I'm going to let you wax poetic a little bit about that, because I'm a little disenfranchised just generally. And I want to be bought in, but I just, the skepticism hat is here and it's here to stay.
Yeah. I mean, hashtag don't blame you. That's for sure. This team has not done a lot to earn faith. However, I'm glass half full guy. I just want to believe in good stuff because it sucks. It's because the Rockies aren't going to go anywhere. The Monforts aren't going to sell the team. Why would you when you make money and stuff?
Right.
And so Walker Monfort, one of Dick Monfort's two kids, so one is taking over or helping out more in the business aspect. Walker has been kind of anointed to move through the landscape of the Rockies personnel department to really kind of oversee that level of the ownership group. And so over the past month or so, other good teams have been playing playoff baseball, which has been phenomenal. Go Mariners.
Yeah, that's dope.
The Rockies have been, having an opportunity really to reevaluate what they're going to do. So essentially the entire front office has resigned at different stages of stuff. Probably because Walker Monfort, like most of us, I know that I have talked about at a significant level, you got to go outside the organization, right? Either you keep doing what you've always done, you will always be where you've always been. Yep. And the Rockies do not, what was it? I think maybe we did the show a couple weeks ago. There was another GM or front office person who said, essentially the Rockies are 20 years behind everybody else.
Right.
Everybody else, including the A's, the Rays, all of them, the fraction of the Rockies payroll. And so I've always asked, like, why not go hire a guy from a team, right? Like the A's who has to compete with $30 million or the Rays $60 million.
Right.
The Rockies have anywhere between 115, 120, $130 million that they can spend at times because, again, the Monforts aren't cheap. They're like overly loyal. So Dick being moved out because all of these guys that were in the front office have been there anywhere from 15 to 25 years. So one, in other aspects, I would love to work for Dick Monfort. If you work hard and you're his kind of person,
that's true.
You kind of got to like appreciate that, especially in cutthroat corporate America. However, it is the one aspect of the industry where results matter. And, your customer base is screaming for something different. And so right now the Rockies are in the process of interviewing all external candidates, which music to my ears. So we have James Click. So here's the interviews that have been confirmed. So James Click, former GM of the Astros, currently the Blue Jays, vice president of baseball strategy. So James Click
was a good team.
Yeah. And he was the GM that helped rebound after the cheating scandal back to another World Series. And they offered him a 1-year deal and he left. So he could have remained with the Astros and decided he's worth more. I'm not going to lame duck it. I'm going to head out. So really extensive leadership has been a lot. I mean, the Houston community, wants him back, like it just feels good. Yep. Hey, you know what? Trash cans, mics. If for the Rockies to be winners, dude, I'll take ethics be damned. And so, yep. And then has been a key focal point of the Blue Jays resurgence, which I think is, again, it's the only Canadian team in the sport competing with, and all of those things, which can't be easy, regardless of how awesome Canada is probably, to convince guys to uproot families from who knows where, to go to Canada, just significant cultural stuff, blah, 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 all those things, to, dethroning the Yankees and the rest, like that's it's huge. Scott Sharp, vice president, assistant GM for the Kansas City Royals, which I talked about extensively too, of an organization that continues to be competitive in a market less than, I think Denver is the 8th biggest market. Chris, check me on that since you're helpful. And, doing it in Kansas City, fountains are great, but not necessarily a ton of resources there, but really rooted in minor league development. And so I think with that aspect, really big focal point on draft and develop, which the Rockies, at least for a while, will continue to draft at the top of the draft. And talent coming in without the right plan is talent wasted. And then Matt Foreman, executive vice president, assistant GM for the Cleveland Guardians. Again, another team, mid-market, pretty similar, I think, in terms of environment and lack of success in terms of pinnacle achievement. However, has really figured out how to continue to compete on a high level. And there's quite a few names that I think are a really good pull. Andy McKay, assistant GM for the Mariners, did work in the Rockies system before, so has some organizational ties if you want to do that. John Daniel, senior advisor with the Rays, former GM of the Rangers. Dayton Moore, baseball operations advisor for the Rangers, former Royals GM. So really, again, kind of going back to folks who can. Thanks, Chris. 17. I don't know. That's right. Like TV market, like sports market. I don't know. Anyway, I'm talking about like one, they don't have a baseball is wacky. You don't have a baseball network right now. You're in yesteryear, but thank you, Chris. And so I love it. I think that this is the only way out of the muck. And so with that, though, then the second question comes. You got to let them do what they do. And so if you hire that guy or gal, a person, and they lay out the plan, that's the plan. Now we got a person, see what we did, and then you hamstring them with whatever that may be. And hopefully there's some investment, because the analytics department, trash. Minor league development plan, trash. And mind you, they have talent in the minor league. So it's, you got Charlie Condon, top 3 pick. I mean, you got guys that are some serious dudes in the minor league system. Hartford is usually a really good competitive AA team, which that is really where like a lot of your talent is, especially kind of 19 to 22. That's where the most of the talent kind of resides. And so they've really had that. Hartford has been a really good minor league associate for them, an affiliate. So there's some bare bones there. And then really you got to figure out the Chris Bryant albatross. Maybe you find a wink, like come off the books, man, and we'll put you on that Bobby Bonilla track and we'll just pay you for something. We'll pay you for 30 years. We'll pay you $1 million or $2 million a year for ever, or pay off your kids' debt. I don't know. So that we can make some maneuvers, because there's some young talent too on the baseball team, on the major league team. And if you can develop pitching, you can get hitters to come here. And so, that money looks good or the same, but you got to have some pitching, which they have arms. It's just whether or not you can cultivate it and like having a pitching plan. So Kyle Freeland had a 2.86 ERA. Ubaldo had a 2.88 ERA. Cesar Marquez, I think, was below 3. Jorge De La Rosa was an extremely competitive and good pitcher here. We've had bullpens that were pretty lights out, or closers that were pretty lights out. Houston Street, who didn't win with heat. You're throwing a slider at altitude, things like that. So it's not undoable. Like the phantom of altitude that lives over the Rockies is, I think it's overly pronounced. If you look how good the high school baseball is within the state of Colorado, pitching especially, like there's guys that know and can do it. I think you need effective leadership with an effective plan that also gets good players. If guys pump 98 with a good changeup, like they're probably gonna do fine if you can paint some corners. So I'm excited about it, to be honest, just because it's finally like putting the organization first instead of your connections first, or your friendships first.
Right.
And so, you did right by guys. Guys worked there for 20, 25 years. They probably got a pension and a buyout. They're probably okay. And so excited about that, but that's kind of the gist of it. So we'll, no plans for what's next in terms of players and payroll, I think, until that happens. And it might, again, be 3 years before this team is competitive. Right, I mean, really competitive, like competitive going on. But hopefully if they get the right person, they're competitive going on and not you get 2 years of competitive baseball. You got to flip everything because you can't manage relationships with your best players and crap. Right. So anyway, I arrow pointing up, but to be honest, when you're all the way down, it's not very far to go or anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Nowhere to go.
So I'm excited about it. I think good stuff's ahead. It might be some slow setting, but at least there'll be a plan. I think we talked about this last season with the Broncos. I said, this is the first time in a long time that I feel like I can see the plan. Whether or not it works out, you got Bo Nix, you got I can see it. And so now with the Rockies, depending on kind of how the next couple steps go, the plan's laid. So now if they struggle, I can see the plan versus we just suck, you're just not good. And you think you're good, you come up and stand up in front of the podium every year, be like, yep, we expect to compete with these players and try and make it to the playoffs. And everyone and their mama knows no, we're terrible. Terrible. So good stuff on the horizon, but let's talk about teams that are actually winning. Shall we?
Yeah, well, then we should go to the Colorado Avalanche because they're actually playing regular season games. Avs are top of the division right now, which is, you're 4 games into the season, so not to get overexcited, but 3-0-1. They did have an overtime loss, shootout loss to the Dallas Stars, who were just snake bitten by so far.
Yeah. And who scored that overtime goal?
What's that?
And who scored the overtime goal?
Mikko.
Or the shootout goal.
Yeah. Continues to hurt us.
Yeah, Jay, I feel you. I will always love Mikko. It's kind of like Claude Lemieux. When Claude Lemieux was an Avy, right? It's I'll kill for that guy. And then he became a Red Wing.
Yeah.
And I'll cut your face. I'm glad they beat you up. And then after he retired, then it was dust settles a little bit. Yeah. Claude, I love you, bro. Bill Romanowski, a little different.
Right.
And so I think, Mikko will be that guy for me. Loved you. Thanks for the trophy. Now kick rocks. Hope you lose all the time. And then once he retires and he comes and he gets his number in the rafters or whatever, that'll be cool again. Welcome back. Yeah. All the good stuff. So I appreciate that, Jay, for sure. For him more.
No. He's out forever.
I heard Raheem Moore is a good person.
I'm sure.
I don't wish bad things on him. That said, nope. Don't ever come back.
No. Yeah, it's an exciting team to watch right now. They came out hot. You did experience a loss to a top tier team, but it's a team that you're going to be battling with, kind of as you come down to the playoffs and seeding. And so I don't think it's anything you should be particularly worried about that.
And even with that, it was an overtime loss, right? So there's still no L on the loss side of hockey because hockey's weird. So you got a point. So and then they showed up and they played at 11:30 a.m. the next day in Buffalo, right? And go and trounce Buffalo. And so what I like is it wasn't a game that that haunted them, right? Or that resonated. That's a tough way to lose, tough team to all of the stuff that we all know, and then come back and your stars play well. McKinnon has 2 goals. It's cool to see. It's cool to see that this team, short-term memory, let's go and let's get all the wins. So that part has been awesome. It's one of the best starts, I think. Probably should check this before. Probably since the Cup run. Because I think last year they started over, right? And they took overtime to win their first game, and I think game 5. And just night and day, right? And you're starting with a backup goaltender. Your backup goaltender.
Right.
Last year, the starters giving up 4 goals a game. You can't pull out a win to save your life, like just frustration. Fast forward. Yeah. And your backup goaltender is like top 10 in save percentage. Like that's talk about flipping the fortunes on the head, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's allowed, if you don't count the Stars game, he allowed 3 goals in 3 games. And then, of course, the Stars are a different caliber. He allowed 4 goals, 5, I guess, technically. They don't, even though I don't think they technically count against the goaltender.
Yeah, they don't count the shootout goals don't count.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but even if you count all of those, right? Like,
right.
Even if you count all 5 of the games, you've given up 8 goals in 5 games. No matter how you spread it, how you dice it, yeah. You're in every game, and they were, even the game that he struggled with. They got it to overtime. 1.72 goals against, 935 save percentage. Like that's pretty darn good from a guy who's supposed to be your every third gamer, right? Like it's a good way to start. So does it re-emphasize, re-establish? Because both you and I felt really, really good about this team in kind of the quality of depth, like it seemed like there weren't holes.
Right.
A little bit about how we were talking about the Broncos team. Like, there weren't any areas that you were like, man, like we're terrible, or you really got to cover that up. Not everything is, and the Avalanche is going to be all stars or end of the year Norris Trophy candidates. We don't got 6 of those guys lined up. But
sure.
You felt good about your top 2 centers, first time, long time. Even your center 3 guy, like, I could see it. A couple of the younger guys getting on, Gabe back. So has this start changed, reinforced? Too early to tell for your thoughts on the season. I felt like this is a Final Four team, and
yeah,
I kind of believe at minimum it's a Final Four team. Anything less than that, I think that in my opinion, there has to be some Bednar conversation at that point.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel really confident in what this group has and what they bring. And I think this start has been pretty great. So how do you feel about the start? Reinforce, make you feel any better, different? Not at all. All that good crap.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I think that, and we'll talk about the Nuggets here in a little bit, but there's a similar feel that they are coming in ready to play, and I think everyone's on the same page. Like, I think the mission is clear, the expectation's clear. I think they know the stakes. If we don't win a cup, or if we aren't competitive in a cup and make a cup run, who knows what this looks like next year, right? Maybe Bedsy's out. Maybe we move on from a number of guys just to clear up the cap space a little bit. It gets a little more about the business and managing salary cap than it does about, hey, who can we add to make us competitive again? I think that ultimately they'd still be in the running. They have the talent and kind of the keystone players, but I think they came in with a goal. They knew it was important to get off to a hot start, and they did that, and are currently doing that. Hopefully, are able to maintain that to a degree. And the more that I watch teams come into the season, like with those kind of hot starts, a lot of teams will separate themselves early and give themselves an advantage on the long run, especially in the 82 game season. Like in the NBA and NHL, if you win games early, that's allows you to rest.
They still count. They still count the same.
Exactly. And so it's just like, why ease into it when you can put your foot on the gas, and you've got guys around you on each line that have depth, that have skill, and like we kind of talked about last week, that can do a little bit of everything. You've got offensive defensemen, defensive offensemen, or defensive wingers and centers, skill guys, snipers. You got goal scorers. You've got, guys who like to muck it up. Like it's a great roster construction, and I think that we're kind of seeing the fruition of that so far. There are some variables that they have to take into account. I think that second line still a little bit hasn't got off to the start that They want to, scoring from a scoring perspective at least. I think everyone's kind of waiting for Gabe to have a game where you feel like he's really.
I mean, he hasn't
I
really
don't want to say present because you're present, but yeah, you want him to step the stat sheet.
Yeah. You want to feel it, right? Like, and get the monkey off get him off the schneid, right? It's kind of one of those sometimes for goal scorers that happen in bunches. I mean, because if they're winning like this right now, like Gabe Landeskog will get going, Brock Nelson will get going, Val will get going, like that.
Right. History
suggests, right? Like I think all of those guys have scored 30 plus goals multiple times in a season, if I am accurate. And all three of those guys are both ends of the ice guys, right? Like that is a complete line. Right. I've seen one in a long time, but very physical line. It'd be kind of interesting maybe if they, if they adjust some things, but the first line is playing so well. I'm not going to move anyone up right now or off of that line. I mean, maybe, but it's kind of, it's kind of a yin and yang, right? You got your speed line, you got your kind of skill line with McKinnon, Netchus, and Lehkonen, and then you got your Brock, full Nelson, Val, who's I wouldn't want to see in an alley. No. Gabe Landeskog, who literally will punch your teeth out and then like flip his beautiful, wonderful locks and score goals. And so like, it's just, it's pretty cool. Just the construction of it, I think I worry about, if Betsy isn't here, stylistically, you probably got to make some changes. But even with that, like if you came into this thing and we're going to muck it up with this offensive kind of, that's probably not a guy you hire, hopefully, dear God. But I feel even stronger that this team is that team that I was hoping that they might to be. And one, for being able to compete with the Stars when, pushing it through overtime, when your second line isn't there yet. And you are playing with your backup goaltender, who is on his fourth game. He hasn't had a night off yet. And so I think all of those things being said, and again, then bouncing back and winning in Buffalo, across country the next morning. I don't know why they play it Monday. I think it's like Canada's Thanksgiving was on Monday. And so maybe that's the it. But I really like where they're at. I think they're only going to get better in terms of cohesion. I think you're seeing it right now with just how Marty has been in. He talked about it, about just having a full camp with the guys, getting to know them a little bit. Oh man, I would pay for that. Val, that'd be a good one. Yeah, I mean, he has the height advantage. Other Val, especially if you didn't like, this is gonna be really messed up. If you didn't like drug tests before,
right,
just gets a freebie. Yeah, one free per game, and then if you win, we'll flush it. Just kidding, that's a bad joke. Val, I'm just kidding, man. I was just trying to make sure you had a shot because Big Val is large and scary human being.
Right.
But I'm pumped, man, and I think it kind of goes with what's brewing at the Pepsi Center, and well, maybe that's the natural transition to, you got your superstars. You really have filled in the depth. With goaltender, you got some guys that can hit some threes that we've talked about bringing in. You got your big guy for first time, long time. Really excited to talk about kind of what that has looked like, and let's maybe just transition over there. Sound good?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's talk Nuggets because we got a lot to cover today. Nuggets have played a handful of preseason games, I think 4 up to this point. Their first game is next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow. I don't remember who they play off the top of my head, but the season opener next Thursday, and it's a team that looks ready to compete for a title. It's a team that you move on from one of your core pieces in Michael Porter Jr. and you replace him with a guy that's so far has been a pretty natural fit. Obviously, there's some growing pains that need to be overcome there, but he's the stylistically type of player that you want with Jokic, which is just a heady guy who will do what he does best, and then he'll offer some additional skill sets. It's yes, Golden State. Thank you.
Yeah. On the road next Thursday, and then back home on Saturday against the Suns.
Yeah,
or
so 2 teams,
as I like to say, Jamal Murray's children.
That's true, and Aaron Gordon's.
Well,
I just think back to the Christmas dunk a few years ago against the Suns. Even though that guy's not Jordan, who is it? Jordan. I said Jordan Farmar. That's old, way too long ago.
Yeah,
it's not him, but it was someone like that.
No, he's ugly though. But I mean, his nuts are still imprinted on that guy's forehead.
But no, just the team looks ready to compete. There's obviously, we've got to figure out the second unit still. But, I think in the game against the Clippers, they struggled a little bit. I think they were a -3, which really is 7 points better than they were last year at a -10, and I know that this is,
a -7.3, right? Is like, a -3 even that's, any given game, if you're +3, -3, especially if you're not a flat, it's like a flat organization, right? Where it's like, you don't have any management, like they're not, it's Oklahoma City essentially is like, it's Shea and then like maybe Jalen, but it's really like everyone's contributing. And if everyone doesn't contribute, they're not going to win. And so for the Nuggets though, you got Jokic, you got Murray, you got Gordon, and then you got some guys who are expected to do, but the expectation here is minimal because when Jokic's on the floor, you're the best team in the history of basketball.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but I think even the difference, like just that significant difference when he's on the floor when he's not. So -3, especially when talking about points per possession and things like that, like he's not going to be off the floor that long. So even if they're -3, when he's off of the floor, when you're traditionally +10, +12, plus whatever when he's on the floor, I take it, man. I take that. If that's the season right now, I take it. Give it.
Oh, for sure. A second unit is not going to be there will be consistent second units. There will be winning second units, but I think ultimately they need to keep the team afloat when Jokic is out. And with that, how efficient this team is offensively, especially with Jokic on the floor, with the team that they've constructed, you're going to win the vast majority of your games if you can do that.
Well, remember though that your bench scoring is they just count the guys that didn't start versus the guys that didn't start, right? That isn't like if Jokic is off and Murray and Gordon are still on, and then you have your bench guys who maybe, you know what I mean? Like if you're just going points per, like that doesn't,
right?
That's not contributing because those guys are passing up shots because hopefully Murray's dropping 30 like he did the other night, or Aaron Gordon, like they're deferring because that's their role. You're not just, it's not hockey. You're not 5 on, 5 off, and you got your bench 5, and then you bring your 5 back on. And so what I really liked, again, so the second unit, like how long do you really play your second unit on in the regular season, right? Probably in a game, 5 minutes, like where there's no starters on the floor.
Yeah. You mean
maybe
just like the whole second
5-6
unit.
minutes? Yeah, for just second unit in the playoffs.
Right.
Game, unless you're up 3-0, you're trying to maybe reserve some people because you got a tough matchup. You're willing to lose a game to get guys a little rest. I don't know, whatever you might do, but you're not doing it in the playoffs. And so part of it again is just long minutes. Yep. Still, it's really the end of quarters, right? Like, yep, we'll put 3 and 3 here. So that's a 10-minute break. Maybe it's a 20-minute break of real time, all that stuff. But I like, again, the contribution. And you and I were texting a little bit when we were talking about the Nuggets, and just I have to give the father-in-law credit because he really likes Jones. He's like, I don't know why he doesn't get time. And I said, no offense, if he's a guy that gets a ton of time, your team's not good. You know, like if guys that are in the Nuggets 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th spot,
right,
it might be really good. But if they're getting run, your team's not good. However, I really like, so you were talking about just the defensive changes. I'm going to like brief do it and then you can kind of.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Just tactically, right? So like the jumbo lineup, saw a little bit of it last night. With Jonas and Nikola on the floor. Like,
yep.
It looked, those are two really big white European dudes with really great footwork and like just they haven't played together, I don't think ever, right?
No, not that I'm aware
and like,
of. Yeah.
Right? Different countries and all that. Like, it's not just because they're from Europe doesn't mean that, but they look like they've known each other for like their chemistry looked really, really good. You know, it's a snippet and all that good stuff. But what a genius stroke of pairing those two guys up and like having two players that can be multiple on the floor with that height, which we just haven't had. You know, like you always had to sacrifice something when you brought someone in for Jokic because you didn't have a guy that could do all of it. So Jokic essentially is kind of carrying all of it. And then you had talked about the pressure. I'll let you go there a little bit, but being able to have Jones play at the 5 a few times I saw.
Yep.
So like experimenting with what the small ball lineup can look like. And that I thought was just, I liked it. I thought it was creative. So at least so far, I really like how Adelman has leaned into creativity, lack of, one thing that I think we all got frustrated with Michael Malone for was he had his guys, he had his rotation, and that was it.
Yep.
And unless they're getting blown out or someone's hurt, it's not really ever changing. And you kind of see the willingness for Adelman to kind of use kind of some new school approaches and let's just win, baby. Like what's going to help us win, and each game might look different and all that kind of stuff. So I'm even just that, the infusion of like, hey, mate, we're going to try to take advantage of a lot of guys' different stuff. And I think that's great. So yeah, maybe talk a little bit more about the defensive changes. Cause I think you highlighted that. I thought it was pretty interesting. I dove into a little bit. But I'm excited because like I told you before, like to be honest, man, I never really even paid attention to fundamentally about what they prioritized on defense. I don't even know how much Michael Malone talked about it, how much it got, but I really like kind of what they're doing. So I'll give you the floor and I'll add my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, it's just it's a nice change from the Malone era. Not anything against Coach Malone. Obviously, won a championship here. Is the winningest Nugget coach of all time at this point. It's just there's excitement for me around the willingness to throw out these additional lines and just to see what you have there, right? To try different guys together that may be a little bit unorthodox, but maybe potentially have some chemistry together. I think you mentioned Spencer Jones. I think Spencer Jones is a guy that is a hustle guy. He's a guy has physicality, and he's going to probably be the 11th man off the bench for this team, and they will bring him out to pressure the ball beyond half court, maybe 3/4 court and beyond. He'll be able to be multiple on the floor. He can guard, I don't know if you want him necessarily on your point guard, pressuring the point guard, but he was on James Harden against the Clippers. They put him out there specifically to dog Harden and guard Harden. So I think really 1 through 5, whoever's bringing the ball up, I think they're trying to get the ball out of your primary ball handler's hands by being able to roll out pressure and throw multiple bodies. Bruce Brown's going to be a guy that they can do that with. Peyton Watson is going to be a guy that they can do that with. We'll see if there's anyone else that kind of emerges, but the idea is, hey, let's make it difficult for these teams to set their offense up. Let's get the ball into someone else's hands so that when they enter their half court set, they have to get the ball back to whoever is setting up their offense. I just think it's just something that it's a small detail that will cause a lot of confusion. I think we saw it against the Bulls from what I was able to see. Just putting pressure on the ball handler. Every once in a while they're going to throw up a ball that you can steal, or they're going to make a bad pass, or they're going to force a shot that's not really a great shot. And you win possessions that way. You win possessions with pressure. You win possessions by making it difficult for them to get in their sets. It's something that I think you'll notice a lot more if you're watching the Nuggets on a consistent basis. Just their willingness to put pressure on ball. And then I think their rotation to kind of keep the bigs down in the paint. They're not really, the expectation is a lot of times when, the ball handler gets past half court, say the defender's trailing, your big will step up, kind of fill in that gap. Right now they're doing that a little bit more with the guard. So if you're on the wing as a guard and the ball handler's coming down into the paint, you may, need to come off of your guy in the corner to stop the ball. And then that allows your defensive player, your center or whoever's down low, to pop out to the corner as opposed to coming up in some potential pick and roll situations. And so it's a different look for this defense. It's really interesting to kind of see it will be interesting to see how they kind of navigate it. I want to see more of the Jokic Val lineup just out of the pure, a lot of teams have rolled out 2 7-footer lines. You saw that with Steven Adams and Sengun last year. We've seen that with multiple teams where they roll out 2 centers, and then you've got guys like Jared Allen that are playing in kind of similar situations defensively with another big. And so it'll be interesting to see how that lineup works. I'm not sure that it's, going to be something they use every game, but it's something they have in their bag. And I think that that's the point, right? We were seeing all these lineups where let's see how these guys, this formation of guys can impact a game. Let's see, how Spencer Jones does on the ball as a pressure guy. Let's see, let's put Jamal with the second unit. Let's put Cam with the second unit and see how it goes. And I think Cam, Jay, you did mention he's been a little underwhelming. I think if he just hits some shots, it's fine. I think he's missing wide open shots. Part of that's probably overthinking. Part of that is just like, being on a new team, wanting to contribute. And sometimes it's just, you get into a bad groove. But he hit a few shots last night. He looks like he's loosening up a bit. He looks like he's finding his way around the court. He had some good defensive efforts in the last couple games. Someone's driving downhill and he just wraps that ball up and rips it away. A lot of things that you never saw Michael Porter Jr. necessarily do on the defensive end, not world beating things necessarily, but just positive signs of improvement and how they want to be physical and attack. The other thing I think that just really quickly that they're doing is they're really paying attention to the rule changes and the emphasis on foul calls and what will and will not get a foul call this season. There's been tons of reports about Jokic meeting with the officials after their scrimmages when the officials came out to do the rules kind of breakdown. Like here's what we're emphasizing. He sat with them for 20 minutes talking through scenarios, getting clarification, asking questions. And I think it's something that you're already kind of seeing that they've been able to get to the line pretty consistently, which is not something. I wouldn't say you didn't see it in the past, but it wasn't consistent, right? And so I think if they're able to get themselves to the line, they're able to take advantage of their length and size. It's an exciting,
and it wasn't a team. It wasn't a team skill, right? Or like where the Nuggets get to the Nuggets are a team that shoots it was some guys. I mean, Jamal was a pull-up shooter, right? He's not going to get a ton of foul shots. Nikola Jokic. Depends on who's officiating and how they let it play, right? And free throw competitions. I do not want excessive flopping, Chris.
Yeah.
I want teams that attack the rack sometimes. If you're going to shoot threes, you have to have the polar opposite to be able to continue to provide yourself with open looks and then easy buckets. Teams, especially if they don't have bigs that really can protect the rim. Yep, looking at you, Braun. Harden. We can keep going all day probably. But that focus, I think, especially again in the playoffs, like let yourself get easy buckets. And for a team that doesn't take a lot of threes, right? At least last year, I think this team will take a lot more. So like with that, what's the analytically one of the two best shots? Shooting a three and layup, right? Or something at or around the rim. Don't lose the mid-range game just yet, folks, because love it. But that's great to utilize off of action and things like that, where you're getting in rhythm, or transition game where where they sink down and you're able to utilize that. But really attack the rim, go get it. You got some plus athletes, and I think you have some smart athletes too. Like Aaron Gordon is a smart jumper, not just let's just do what we do. Really hope that Peyton Watson is a guy that just continues to attack the rack. Let your length and explosion kind of get there. Christian Brown too. You should try and put someone on a poster every game until you can't, especially for the brand, if you know what I'm saying. So I like it. I like what you said, just even consistency and being able to be multiple, right? Like finding different ways to be able to win. How do you create when maybe the three isn't working, or right? I mean, with that, it's like, how do you get a score going? Right, a couple of easy buckets early. When Jordan would struggle, he's not gonna try and shoot himself out of it. He was gonna I'm gonna go to the basket, right? And helps you with your stroke, like a free throw that you shot however many times. And so, I love it. I really do like, at least from some of the stuff that I was able to find, that they're going to implement a lot more of the zone. I think to be able to continue to keep
huge for them,
the bigs there and some outside matchup zones, a little old school Temple, John Chaney, a little bit of Jim Boeheim, right? So some stuff that I think throws some wrenches, and especially if you have smart basketball players or guys like, even like Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray is a smart defender. I think when you're able to use multiple things, I think you keep a guy like that engaged more, right? Then, and you give guys breaks too, on like exertion. So if I'm expecting you to score 28 a game and you got to man up against James Harden the entire game, that's why those matchups don't work often. And if you want guys engaged, you kind of had to do that. So you got some guys that are bought in, I think, to team basketball. And I think that raises the boats. When you got everyone now on the team, Jamal, like everyone's committing to defense, Jamal. You know what I mean? Like there's that Cam is gonna, right? You don't have Michael Porter Jr. is going to take stuff off. You don't got, I think Peyton Watson recognizes that his next contract is going to heavily rely on his ability to be a 3-and-D guy. Christian Brown, right? The thing that got him that starting job was his tenacity on defense. And, you can always work on a jumper. Becoming more motivated to play hard is just, it's not a thing that's easily landable on. So I'm pumped, man. If we were to flip a coin right now, okay. Actually, here I'm gonna ask you a couple little questions. Unless you have any more nugget stuff that you want to spout off before we get to Broncos stuff.
Yeah, no, I just want to hit real quick. Just if you haven't been watching the preseason, Jamal looks good. Jamal physically looks healthy. He looks like in the best shape he's been coming into practice, and he's been aggressive with the ball in his hands. I think that's a good sign for the Nuggets. I think Aaron Gordon is in his bag right now. He's been trying to ISO guys off the dribble, taking pull-up jumpers in ISO too. It's really fun to watch him kind of function right now. He's a guy that has been really I think it was Adam Mares that said he's and he didn't really like his own analogy, but he's kind of gone the Andre Iguodala route, where you started as kind of the guy that was the face of the franchise, and you've just been able to adapt your game so much that you're going to stay in the league for a long time. And I think that that's completely true. His jump shot looks great still. He looks like he's scoring more easily. He looks comfortable with the ball in his hands. He looks comfortable with the ball out of his hands. And he looks healthy, and so that's exciting. And then Christian Brown, I think, is going to surprise some people this year. I think he's going to take a jump, not necessarily a points and numbers jump, but I think it's going to be more of – I think you're going to see more creativity from him. I think you're going to see him initiating the offense at times more than you did previously. And I think there's just going to be more consistency with this jump shot from the outside. And of course, you're going to get the normal downhill, ram the ball into the net, go through someone's chest. You're still going to get all of that defensive tenacity. Yep. But I think he's going to become one of those players that he goes from like, hey, if you're a ball watcher, you know who he is, to a guy that most people know, even casual fans. And I think that maybe I'm just overhyping the Nuggets right now, but I think they've looked so good, and the signs are pointing up. The arrow's pointing up right now.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. So we'll start with, and then I'll get to you here in a second. Chris, love it. Are we taking the over under? So throw it in the chat too. Want to hear what you all think, the over and under on DraftKings, which we're not a sponsor of, but DraftKings, if you'd like us to, reach out to your boy. 54.5. 54.5. How do we feel about that number, JTZ for Sheezy?
I'm taking the over. I'm high on this team right now. I think it's a difficult number, but I think, how many wins did the Oklahoma City get last year? I think they're 60. They were 67, 67, something like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. But I think they're an over 54 win team. I think, barring some sort of injury, knock on wood, this team healthy, has depth. Even if you did take I wouldn't say an extended injury for one of your top three guys, but say, you had some banged up guys here and there, you have the depth now to kind of keep you afloat, and you have guys who can play up and down the roster. So I don't know. I see this team exceeding what it did last year. I see this team exceeding maybe what it did in the regular season, in the championship year, even. I think that they are.
They have 56, right?
Prime.
56, 57. Yeah, I think the so. 57. I think 57 is the organizational best. Yeah. I agree with Chris. I think that this is a 60-win team. I think if you think about all the things that didn't go right last year, right? So they were at home. They were 26-15, which I think previous several seasons they were under 10 losses at home.
Yeah.
And with the really sluggish starts again. So if they're a team that comes out. Joe Murray is in better shape. I would say I push back against the narratives of like some people are like he looks jacked. Sports radio, jacked to you and me.
I would say he looks lean more than jacked.
I would say he looks in shape. Like he looks in shape. Like he looks basketball prepared, right? Not like a guy that's going to play himself into shape. Looks like a guy that's ready to play basketball. Oklahoma City was 68-14. I think that number comes down just naturally. The Rockets, the Lakers, the Nuggets, all fifth, and Clippers, all 50-win teams. Timberwolves at 49, Warriors at 48, the Grizzlies at 48, the Kings at 4. Like, I just think that this team is significantly better than it's really like this team, the Rockets maybe, and the Thunder, in my opinion. And I don't think it's relatively close. And so if that's the case, I mean, the Lakers, if Bron stays healthy and Luka plays like Luka, they'll be a good team. But again, when DeAndre Ayton is your third best, I think it's a 60-win team. So I take the over. All right, real quick, who is more likely to win the MVP, Nikola Jokic or Nathan McKinnon?
I'll say Nate just because of voter fatigue. We've seen what that does. I also think that there's a good chance that with the depth, you'll see Jokic's minutes not tank, but go down a little bit. He'll get a little more rest during the regular season. It may take away from some of his larger, kind of more gaudy numbers. You may just see, more efficient kind of bow wrapped on the present, kind of games where he goes out, puts in, 20, 25 to 30 minutes, scores 25, has 9 assists, has 12 rebounds, something like that. Yeah. I think that you'll still see him dominate. I don't think that he's still in his prime. He's 30, but he's not old by any means. He looks just like the same Jokic that he's looked for the last number of years. But the politics in the NBA are such that, it's a possibility that even the best player can lose the MVP. So just for that alone, I'll say McKinnon, but I think Jokic, would it surprise me if he won? Not at all.
Yep. All right. I like it. And then who wins more games? Nuggets or Avs?
I think that's tough because.
Or wait. Let me read you. Who finishes higher in the standings because they do points and
Okay.
Let me at least make that a little more. But yeah. So who finishes at a higher seed? Nuggets, Avs.
I think I'm leaning Nuggets. I think the Avs have good depth. I think the Nuggets would have a little bit better chance if one of the main players was to go down with some sort of extended injury to be able to maintain a little bit more, aside from Jokic, of course. But, if Nate goes down, if Kale goes down, I think the depth will be really challenged and tested. Not that there's not good guys behind them, but I don't know that you have anyone that can really step up into those places and do anything close to what he does. And so that would be where I'd go. That being said, as long as Wedgwood and Blackwood maintain this level of play that they've come out early with, or that Wedgwood would just kind of set the tone for, I could see a scenario where the Avs are leading at the end when it comes down to it. But right now I'll say the Nuggets.
Yeah. That's hard. I like it.
It's hard. It's a tough one.
It. Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, before we transition, just want to give some quick shout outs really quick to our friends and all that good crap. So one, let me find my little where'd it go again? Never mind. It's gone. We're just
it's gone again. All right, we'll figure it out.
Nope. Found it. So go to the Orange and Blue Network. I think we're just a few away, actually, really close to 529 subscribers on YouTube.
Let's get it done, y'all.
One of us will get. I've tried to squeeze it to say it should just be me, but some subscriber will win Bo Nick's orange jersey. Super dope. Our sponsor, Dubby Energy Drinks, told everyone I got those. A really jitterless energy blend for sure. It tasted really good. So I would echo that. Go get the OBN10 user code. Get 10% off. All the good stuff about it. Love our guys. We're not going to do the complete show rundown about all of our shows because we do that. And we want to talk Broncos, take peeksies. We got stuff for you pretty much always. So stay tuned to the network. And with that, JT Matthews, we are going to talk Broncos.
Broncos talk. Broncos get a win, an ugly win. Yeah, you have to wear it. That's if you win it, you wear it. That's how it goes. Broncos get an ugly win in London against the winless New York Jets. Just want to I want you to kind of kick it off for us. I want your take on this game. Obviously, it was a bit underwhelming, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The defense really carried the team to the win, and we'll talk about that defense and that unit as we go on here. But I just kind of want the prevailing feeling coming from you as this game ended, because I think there were things that I don't want to say that were super concerning, but I think there are pieces of this team that still need development, and I think that there are maybe one or two missing pieces to keep this team from really being competitive this year. And I want your take on that.
Yeah. I think what was really hard to understand, right? So first quarter, Bo Nix is Dyson, right? Coming out, throwing the rock. Had a, kind of broke down at least like the first two possessions. Really kind of misses a block on the toss left. If so, that's probably almost a first down run on the first play of the game. Then you have third down, Franklin fumbles. you kind of see it sputter. And then again, the Broncos come back, come get a field goal drive, get a stop, come back, get a touchdown. And so, the first quarter, Bo Nix is just dicing. And then I think there were 3 pass attempts in the second half. For a team that was playing a good chunk of it or at least, a good portion of it from behind. One of the pass attempts being in the end zone when Miners gets bowled over and called for a hold. So I think Sean Payton got in his own way. I think he is a guy that gets angry at times. And when he does, I think he shuts down, and that seemed to be the feel. You looked on the sideline, or when the guys came off, they looked super dejected. And so for me, mind you, the Jets are not good offensively. Okay. So that said, outside of getting hurt, Justin Fields has played pretty good football, and played well enough, at least probably to win 2 games offensively. So against Cowboys, he played well offensively. The defense diced up, all that good stuff. And then the first week against the Steelers, he played well. And then I think he got hurt another game. And then another game, I think he got outplayed. But again, has been turnover adverse, has put up 220 yards or more passing in games that he played the whole game. And then obviously a threat to run the ball. So really this team did have to just do enough. It was 2020 or 2015 vibes. And I feel bad for the Brits. That was probably a tough game to watch.
Yeah.
But the Broncos set back the Jets offense 60 years, man. To have 82 yards of total offense, have negative yards passing, have 9 sacks, which are the most in the NFL this season. And the points you gave up, I think only one field goal was a legitimate drive.
Yeah.
So he gave up 2 other field goals because the offense coughed up the ball and special teams gave up a 70-yard return. Thank goodness he was tackled before he scored. But outside there's just no hope. And you could, for as dejected as the Broncos were, which the Broncos were dejected because they know that they can play better, right?
Right.
They played well against Super Bowl champs on the road a week before, so they knew that they were better. And that's kind of the dejection of come on, what are we doing? Versus the Jets dejection, where it's yep, you got the ball at the 49-yard line. You need one first down, maybe first down. You need 15 yards, maybe 20 to hit it home, and you get sacked twice. Just ain't happening, man. Watching a team just guillotine another team, to me, again, what's more transferable? What would I rather have long term on an NFL season? A defense that consistently dominates or offense that consistently dominates? I would rather have a defense that consistently dominates, because you can win games ugly like this. The Broncos offense will play better throughout the season. I have no doubt. I've never seen a Sean Payton's offense suck, even with Russell Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. They had finished top pack of the offense, right? Bo Nix last year really struggled, really for kind of the first 8 games. So to me, there's a little bit of context within that that is historic. Right now, this defense statistically is better than the 2015 defense. I'm not saying we will be. Statistically, this defense is showing up at a higher rate or even a comparable rate to that 2015 team. And I think based on the personnel, this offense probably has a good capability of being having more staying power through the season than that team did. So to me, I'm going to take glass half full. I think that's you chalk it up to an ugly game, but again, an ugly game that you win. Last year, they didn't win 1-score games. Now they won 2 in a row on the road, right? Again, they haven't been home since they were gone for 12 days. And so it's something to be said a little bit about just the context of what's going on. That said, the 3 quarters out or outside of the last drive, which again, the offense put it together when they had to get the Broncos in scoring position to kick a field goal. And so there's something to be said about like, hey, we got to have it. And then they went and got it when they shouldn't have won that game, or offensively they didn't deserve to win that game, and they did. And so so there's some things to be said about that. And then finally, I think, one, I'm sorry that Matt Pert got hurt early, and/or he played poorly that they were like, hey, we're going to cut you, or how's your ankle? Is it hurt? Is it hurt? You sure it's hurt, right?
Yeah, it hurts, right?
I would assume Palcho is going to come in. They're going to kind of figure out that Throckmorton will come up for some extra stability. And I think potentially, I think Ben Power's playing really good football, but over the last 3 years, he hasn't been really that good. I think Palcho probably also is a guy that they want to look at long-term, that maybe he is the long-term fixture there. You save some money with Powers and let him go into next year. And so I think that has to be the move right now. You move away from that jumbo, you kind of figure that part out later. You can always figure out an extra tackle to come in and wear on somebody. And you see if Palcho is a long-term fixture. So potentially maybe in the long term for the rest of the season, which kind of echoes what Brian Baldinger said to the DNVR guys. Said, I think that this will be an upgrade. He likes Palcho. He thinks Palcho is a really good long-term player, and that this will be an upgrade for the team. And so sadly, maybe they fell and landed into, a guard for the next decade. And that would be dope. That would be dope.
For sure.
But I also think this team has to be aggressive. Like top end, maybe more depth on this team. Yep. Top end, especially offensively. Brandon Scherf is a guard, again, top 10 pick overall, is out there. Would he not love to come after playing in Washington and Jacksonville, come play for Sean Payton and try and get a ring? So I think that a couple guys that are out there, but this is also a team I really like Franklin, but do they want to win a Super Bowl this year? Microwave this thing, go get you a legitimate number 2, vet, solidified receiver that in crunch time will get things done? Or is this just a bump in the road, some learning curves, some young guys, and you kind of let it play out? But I think offensively, you really got to see some traction pretty soon. Or you have to call it what it is. This is the year before the jump. And we're just going to get, we're going to ease in, be a playoff team, which I think this team will be anyway, and go from there. So that's kind of my takes on it. Really, really ugly game, but again, ugly game that they won.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I worry. Obviously, now we have to worry about the offensive line and who's going to plug that hole. They weren't able to establish a run, albeit the Jets' defensive line is pretty good. It doesn't concern me too much, but I think that maybe the offensive line play has been a little underwhelming so far this year, just as a unit. I wonder, and part of that is penalties. Like, it seems like anytime this team gets any positive play, there's some sort of hold, yes, or someone's aligned offsides, or any number of things can go on, and it just kills the momentum of that offense. And to me, the play calling that Sean Payton likes to run, I feel like when Bo is thriving, they're in a groove. They're able to establish some sort of rhythm offensively, and it just seems like the last couple of games that really hasn't been something they've been able to do against the Eagles and then against now the Jets. They found that rhythm late in the game against the Eagles, which was great, but able to be a competitive team from beginning to end when you come to a playoff scenario, like, you've got to be able to find that earlier, and you've got to be able to maintain it. And having those penalties, it just shooting yourself in the foot over and over. Yes. Tied for 4th, the most penalized team in the league so far. How many yards? 448 yards of penalties so far in 6 games. That's just a huge amount of penalty yardage, and you can see why that would set you back so far. You can see why, these big plays that you get sprung are getting called back, and then you lose all of your momentum. And so I think it's something they need to work on. It's something they need to address as a team. They need to play smarter, and they need to be able to do so while maintaining their aggressiveness on both sides of the ball. And that's a difficult thing to do. But we've seen the great teams do it, and we've seen it do it when it matters. Again, this is early on the regular season. There's still an opportunity for them to turn that around. But that's my biggest takeaway over the last couple of games is let's find a rhythm. Let's stop killing ourselves with these terrible penalties. It just is difficult for a young quarterback to constantly be set back after making some great throws and making some great plays that are just completely negated.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it. So the offensive line right now has had 14 penalties in 6 games for 107 yards. All right, just if we talk offensively, the wide receivers have 6 penalties, so 1 a game for 54 yards. So offensive pass interference, which one was like against Pat Bryant, which is like, but still goes to the lack of discipline within the team. Tight ends 4 for 35. Running backs, what are running back like? Why are we getting a false start from a running back? What are we doing? Wide receivers too. Like, why are you moving? Put your head down the line. All of this stuff. The defensively get super grabby. I think when you play aggressive style of stuff, your defensive backs 11 penalties, 8 accepted, 159 yards. To me, that's you kind of live with that because you kind of expect where that goes. But the offensive line,
it's different. It feels different just because like your defense is still dominating, right? Like outside of the Colts game, they're not losing you games, and so those eight penalties from your secondary don't feel so big.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I mean, especially when they're kicking field goals or whatever that might be. But you get a hold and then you get a false start. It's second. Like you don't have plays for 3rd and 19 or 3rd and 12. Like you just don't have those. Right. And when they're drive killers, right? Like it is, it's pretty significant. So I couldn't agree more. If there were one addition that this team makes by the end of the season, it's that.
Yeah.
Like if the Broncos go in and reduce their turnovers by 3 a game, I don't know. It's like just a doable mark. I think, that's a pretty fair request. So I think something to note. This team has to get better there. So whoever's playing, the self-inflicted wounds, at some point, that's a coaching problem. And this is the most cohesive team in the NFL, the most cohesive NFL coaching staff, one of the best, highest paid coaching staffs for sure. At some point, it's not your personnel, right? It's what you're doing and what you're coaching or what you're allowing to happen. And so I think maybe Paucho being in it sets the offensive line to be a little bit more relaxed. I think with Pert struggling, especially last week, I think maybe they didn't feel confident in being able to plug that mid-game. And so they wrapped it in bubble wrap. But I think offensively, they got to score points. Both Scatabo and Jackson Dart, are going to, if a fan base feels more excited about their team, I don't know of one, even when they're 2-4. They feel like they got the guy. I think national media has kind of jumped on that. I don't know if I'm bought in on Jackson Dart as a long-term NFL pro, but you know what? It's got some grit, and so does Cam Scatabo. And I think when you have your skill players showing that, especially young, I think it infuses. There's some good defensive talent, especially in the front 7. And so they're not going to win this game with 13 points. And they're not going to win turning the ball over and having some of those big shoot yourself in the foot. This is a game that they will win. I think it's a game that you kind of get resettled. And I think this team comes out a little pissed, right? That like we kind of left an opportunity to really be on the national narrative and as a AFC team to beat, right? Yep. Chiefs are climbing back out, but the Chargers are regressing. The Bills are regressing. the Steelers and the Colts are kind of sitting at the top. But really, like, you feel like this team should be 6-0, and I think that they'll come out on Sunday and at home and have an opportunity to kind of reestablish where they're at. Mind you, like, again, this is the Giants are a team that got beat pretty handily by the Saints 2 weeks ago. So let's make sure we're not like overly jumping on, and I think the 2 teams that they beat are teams the Broncos played the week before, if I recall. Played the Chargers right after the Broncos played them, beat them up quite a bit, and played the Eagles right after the Eagles played the Broncos on a short week. Just saying. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, ultimately, I think the Broncos win this game. I think it'll be a good opportunity for them to face a team that's got a little bit of momentum and fire right now. I think they play a physical brand of football, and I think that ultimately the Broncos are going to have to show that they can match that on the offensive end. I think ultimately they will. Want to give a score prediction real quick?
I do. I'm going to go 27-17. I think the Broncos will figure it out. I think the secondary for the Giants is still pretty and I think the offensive line will get settled. I do think that the Giants will keep it pretty competitive through first half, maybe first 3 quarters. I think the Broncos pull away.
Yeah. I'm going to go 23-17. I want to see the Broncos hit that next level offensively. I just am not super confident that they will quite yet. But like you said, it's a secondary that has some struggles. Maybe this is an opportunity for those wide receivers to get going. If you can kind of stretch the field a little bit, maybe that opens up the run game a little bit more for JK this week. It's something that I would like to see. I think ultimately the Broncos win, though. They win with defense, and they win by, putting pressure on Jackson Dart and not letting Cam Scatterbo out of the backfield.
Yep. Yeah, it's, to all due respect to Cam, which saved a couple of my fantasy teams. If you can lock up Saquon, Breece Hall, they're not wrapping up chumps. These are
right.
Some really good NFL players, and so I really
Taylor.
like Cam. I think Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor diced him up. And even though the Giants' offensive line is playing better, the Colts' offensive line to me is the best offensive line in football right now.
Yep.
And so you kind of got done up by that team, and so the Giants' offensive line is not the Colts' offensive line. Playing better, some good talent, but not, but guy for guy, I'll take the Broncos front. You make Jackson Dart a thrower of the football primarily. Especially you get to him, you get pressure. He's going to see some ghosts and throw it. It's just ask Cam Ward, that's a rough unit to go against. And they're feeling themselves after the last 2 weeks. Talk about keeping your rush lanes. You play against Justin Fields, you play against Jalen Hurts. Now you got Jackson Dart. You kind of got the progression of the plan. Right. And they don't have any wide receivers, I think, that can hurt you. So I think you really have an opportunity. Riley Moss isn't going against Devonta Smith. And, those are back-to-back T. Higgins. Those are games in a row where you're going against some dudes. And I think he has an opportunity to be, better than anyone he lines up against, hands down. And when you got that, you can really trust your corners to stay on some islands. Hufanga and Jones can really roam, come up, make some force plays. I think they'll get some turnovers and some easy points. So, go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Well, everyone, appreciate you being here today. We have got to run, but we love interacting with you. Please make sure that you like on YouTube, everywhere that you can, do all the things, social media. We appreciate you so much. We want to give this jersey away. So let's get our YouTube channel up to the requisite number. Otherwise, be kind to one another, be safe out there. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
I'll help you out.
From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire. So grab your crew, let's hit the show. My high sports symposium, let the good times flow.